So in last video, we discussed about the product DAO and product Java, right? Now we left with this cart item. So we require the cart.java. This will be the DAO file or the model class, and this will be the DAO file which we required. Okay, and see, apart from that, we also required a file that is cart item. Okay, like what type of item we'll have in cart. So this comes under the model class. Okay, so first of all, let me create a file. So first we require the model. So let me create a cart file. So I'll just right click on the model. Okay, 1 second. New, and then let me go to other, then class. So class is the first option. And let me create it as cart.java. Ideally, we don't require .java. Now in this, we required couple of files, couple of data, the data types. So first we require the integer ID. This ID belongs to this respective cart. Okay. Now in this, we required integer user ID. So user ID ideally came from the, if you remember in the database we created that as a foreign key. So that will come from the user. Okay. And then we required a product, control space product as a reference. And then we required integer quantity. Right. So these are my field. Now we require the first constructor. Let me right click source, generate constructor using field. There I'll just go with ID, user ID, product and quantity, all the fields. Let me create this constructor. Second, we require the getter for them. Okay, I think getter is enough because we just use this to fetch the data. So let me just click on source and generate getters only. Right, so I'll just go with getters. Let me click on generate and that's there. Perfect. And I think we can go with setter as well. So what I'll do, let me generate getter and setter. Might be required setter as well. Setter, select all, and then generate. Control S. Perfect. So now we'll have card.java is completed. Next, we require the DAO file. So that DAO is the card.dao. So that should be inside this model class. Let me go to other class. This should be card.dao. Enter. All right. Now in this class, see whatever be the functionalities of this cart DAO, so that we need to create. So first of all, we need to add item to the cart. So the adding should be the Boolean type. So let me create a public static method. The return type is Boolean. Okay, and the name we can go with add to cart. Add to cart. So there the item should be added with the user because we require the respective user that will going to add this. So it should be the same field user ID, comma, we require the product ID. Okay, so integer, let me go with the product ID. See, what is the user ID? User ID is for the respective user and product ID is for the respective product type, right? Now, again, we require the database. So let me create a database for that. For database, again, we require the try block. Let me go with try and then catch. Right there, I can print the exception. So out E. All right, now. Okay, so now we require the connection, control space connection. These lines remain same for all the codes. DB connection dot get connection. So that will use to create a connection. Okay, looks good. Now we require a string check query. So this will be the query that will going to select the product, select star from cart where from spelling is correct, cart spelling is correct. Okay, so from where user underscore ID. See that field I need to check that what field I had created inside the database. So initially I'm just going with the user ID equals to question mark and we can go with the product underscore ID equals to again the question mark. Looks good. So that will going to pick the data. Okay. Now we require the prepared statement. Control space statement. We can go with that. And then connection dot prepared statement. It will go with the query. Works fine. Okay. Now we can go with a statement dot set integer. So first position should be with the user ID. Okay, so let me go there with the user control space ID. Let me go with the second field. So second field should be the product ID. Let me go with that. PR control space product ID, fetch, and looks good. Now see, we have these two data. So let me go with this result. One second, result set control space set equals to statement dot execute query. So that will execute the query. Now we can go with if. Okay, because the return type is boolean, so we can easily go with if. So if set dot next. Ideally, when you have the specific condition, like see there, wherever you are going with the where clause, so in that case you can go with this if block. Okay, now in this what we can do, if this is there, so yes, we can go with a string update query equals to, okay, so now we need to update the data, right? So update cart set quantity equals to quantity, spelling should be correct, otherwise it will fire an query. Once again, an error, quantity plus one, so that will increase the quantity, right? But for which product? So where, for which user ideally? So I'll just go with which, where user ID equals to this and product underscore ID equals to this. So these are the two things which we require. Now let me go with this query again. One second, let me scroll down with the prepared statement control space, that I can go with update PSFT. Okay, prepared statement equals to, now I'll just go with connection dot prepare statement. Yes. Okay, so what it will do, we'll check during the implementation. Now let me go with dot set integer. Okay, so first again I'll go with the user ID. So let me change this to user ID. Okay, and then again same with the, one second, same again, this should be the 2 and that should be the product ID. Product product ID. Okay. Now what we can return. So guys, as this is a if statement, so we need to return a boolean value. So that boolean value will be update dot execute update. Okay, and the return type is integer, so we can easily go with is greater than 0. Looks good. Else, so else what we need to do, see, ideally what it is doing in the this if block, if item is already exists, so we are going to update the quantity. Remember that we are doing in this if block. Now we require the else block. So what else will do? Else is used to insert a new item. Okay, so it means now we are going to insert the new item. So what I'll do, I'll just go with string insert query. So query, so what should be the query? Query should be insert into table name is cart, and what fields we need to provide. One second, the field should be, first is the user underscore ID, so that field I'll have. Okay, then we'll have the product underscore ID. Along with that, we require the quantity. So whatever field we had defined in that cart class, so that fields we are going to add. And what should be the values? The values should be, space is required. Yes. First value, comma, second value, comma, third value. So we have these three value, so that we are going to insert semicolon. Looks good. Yeah. Okay. Now, okay, one second. See, if no item is there, so quantity initially, I'm just going this way. Okay, the rest we can change. So I'll just go with a prepared statement. control space, I can change this to insert statement or insert PSFT. So that is used to insert the data. So connection dot. Now we require the query. So let me go with the prepared statement for insert query. So that will going to insert the data. So now I'll have the insert, one second, insert PSFT dot set integer. One second, it should be set integer, control space 1. Let me change this to 2 and let me insert this line again. Insert dot set integer. So yes, so what I'll do, let me cut this to, and let me paste this to user ID. Works fine. It should be 1 and then 2. Oh, all right. Now we can return the same thing. One second. Return insert dot execute update is greater than 0. So yes, that will provide the return. Now what we need to do, we need to fetch the item. So this was used for insertion of a data. Now in this, like inside the suspective try, so this is try block. Yes. Now we need to get cart. Okay, so fetch cart items for user. So ideally we require to fetch the cart item. So guys, the item will be fetched in the term of collection. So we can use data structure. Okay, so let me create a public. One second, I think that method is not closed. One second, do we have error? Of course we'll have. So let me add a return statement. So okay, that returns here. That close this method. Now Control X, let me remove this space. All right. Let me remove this space. One second. But really getter is required, huh? So that block is closed. Now there we can create a public static method. Okay, and that method return type must be of list of card. Okay, and that method name should be the get card items. Okay, so that how it will fetch. So that will be fetched with the user ID. So user ID, of course, we need to provide. All right. Now there, let me create a list. So control space list. List is of card itself. One second. So we are going to fetch. So we'll use the array list, right? So this will be the array list. Works fine. Okay, now we can go with this tribe. Oh, one second. Should not be the position. Position should be there. Try and then catch. Okay, exception ideally we don't require. Exception can be easily handled. Now we require a connection. So every time we require a connection, guys, because blocks are different, equals to db connection. One second, that should not be the correct. Control set db connection dot get connection. All right. Okay, so now we require a string query. So guys, there we need to go with a join operation. Okay, we'll check that how we'll perform this join operation. So let me just go with select star, or let me just select card ID. So I'll just go with CID, comma, card ID, product.id. Okay, as what? So let me go this with a product underscore ID. Okay, comma, let me go with, so these all are the reference variable, P, C, they all are the reference. Okay, then I'll just go with P dot price. Next field, I'll have the name price and then image, P dot image, comma, and then we require the quantity. So quantity should be fetched from cart, C dot quantity. Spelling is correct, right? So this will be the first section. Second, now what we require, I'll just press enter, consider it in the same line. Plus, let me go with another query. Okay, let me put semicolon. So from cart C. So I require the join products P on C dot product underscore ID equals to P dot ID. Now this is for where we'll have a cart with the user ID. So let me just go with cart underscore user ID equals to question mark, right? So that will help me to provide a query. Okay, and what this query does, that query is used to fetch the item. See, ideally item will fetch for the product, okay, from the product along with the cart, right, for the respective user. So that's why we need to put this join. Now let me just go with the prepared statement, control space. This should be the PSFT equals to connection dot. One second. Which class is this? Control S. Yes, control space PSFT equals to connection dot prepared statement. Yes, so that will now I need to set the value. So I'll just go with PSFT dot set integer 1 and 1 with the user ID. Now looks good. We'll have this. Guys, we need to also remember about the session of the user. We require the result set control space set equals to PSFT dot execute query. So that will use to execute my query. Now there we need to fetch everything. Guys, so we'll just go with a while, remember. So I'll just go with while set dot next. Let me print the complete data. Okay. So data will be fetched in a product. Okay. And that can be stored in a list, and that list we can provide as a return type. So I'll just go with a product control space product equals to new control space product. Now in product, we'll have the two type of constructor. So I'll just go with this one. Okay. Now what should be the ID? Let me press enter and once again semicolon, and then let me press enter. So what should be the user ID? So user ID should be set dot get integer. I'll just go there with a field. So that is product. Once again, product underscore ID. This will be the field. Okay, the first field. Comma. Now we require the second field. So second field can be set dot get string. Let me go with the product name. Right. So this will be the name. Third field can be third field is, let me check what is the third field. The product description. Okay. So description is in, I think, third one. So let me just go with get string. 1, 2, 3. Let me just go with 3 there. Rest we can change. Description you can type. Second, we require the set dot get integer quantity. So quantity was no price. This should be the price, of course. And next, what we required? Next, we required there the last thing, that is image, right? So let me just go with set dot get string image. So all fields are fetched, right? Now, that is done. Inside this while itself, now we can provide the cart control space cart equals to new control space cart. Now again, there we required all the things. Okay, so I'll just go with set dot the same thing we required, set dot get integer 1, or let me just go with the ID, just not that way. Second, we require the user ID. Okay, product. Okay, and next we require this. So let me just change this to set dot get integer. Last field is quantity. All right, looks good. Now we can add this list. What is the reference of list? That is carts. Let me just add carts dot add cart. Perfect. Now that is added to this. All right. Now, if you want to remove any element from this, so that we can remove. Okay. If you want to clear the cart after checkout, so that section we can also add. So see now what we can do. We'll have two sections are pending, so that we can create later. So this first is the remove item from cart. Okay. And second is the clear cart after checkout. So these two things are pending, so that we can do later, no issue. Right. Now we are left with the cart item. So guys, cart item is again very simple. Why we are getting it a thing? Because of the return type. So let me just return statement as a cart. Perfect. So now we require the cart item, small class. So we require that in the model, right? So let me just right click in the model and let me create this as the cart item. Okay, I'll just go with a class control space. So now what we require there, we require the product of product type, and second we require the integer quantity, of course, that we require QUANTITY quantity, right? One constructor, one setter getter, that's it. Nothing is in this class. This is a small class, so I'll just go with a constructor using field, select all, generate, and then setter getter. Right click, source, setter getter, select all, and then generate. So guys, that's it for this video. Now in next video we are just going to start with a sublet and the JSP file. Thank you.